Hey Emma, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Hey, quick question. I was wondering if you could show me how to schedule a document purge process.
Definitely, I'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do when creating a scheduled purge process, we're going to want to make sure that the thick client has the dash schedule command line switch added to it in its properties, um, and so that it can actually run the process. And you're going to want to put this on whatever workstation you're deciding that is going to be running these processes as well. Just keep that in mind when doing this. So to do that, we're going to right click on the icon for the thick client here on the desktop. We're going to go to properties, and once in properties we can see it's already added here, but if it wasn't there, we'd want to add the dash sketch switch. And then we can just go ahead and hit apply or OK, and that is all set. Now we want to open up our thick client, and within the thick client, we're going to go ahead and look at admin, utilities, document maintenance. And what shows here are any documents that were deleted in OnBase. Doesn't matter what client, they just show up here. If we look at this, there's obviously only 7 documents, so not that crazy of a number, but when looking in your own system, you might notice maybe significantly more, like thousands, hundreds of thousands, just depends what's going on with your system. So that's something to keep in mind as we're scheduling, and I'll talk about that more later as we get into it. So here, what we want to do is just right click. Obviously you have a few options here. We can retrieve any of the documents back if we deleted them on accident. We can just purge whatever documents we select. We can just purge all, which is not a bad plan if you have just 7 documents like I have here. But if you want to do this on a regular schedule, or you have a large volume of documents, like in the thousands, we don't want to just hit purge all, because if we have lots of documents, OnBase is going to try to get through all of those. It might lock up. So it's just something to keep in mind there. And what we want here is to schedule a purge. So if we select that, we get this schedule management window. If you've ever configured a schedule for a scan queue or sweep process, you might be familiar with this. It's pretty much exactly the same. You just have our purge options here, which we'll get into later. So what we're looking at here, if you're new to this, is the name here. We can name this something if we wanted to name it per the specific document type we're looking to purge. We can do that, or if it's some internal process, you can name it whatever that is. You have the option to choose a workstation. So when I mentioned previously making sure the schedule switch is on the correct workstation which you want to run this process from, this is where you could select that. So if you want to spread out any processing work, if you already have a lot of processing work going on, you can kind of divvy it up that way. And then we have our schedule template. So the ones that come out of the box are weekends, weekdays, and end of month. And then you have also the option for custom schedule. So if we look at like weekdays, this is all going to be grayed out, blanked out, because this is just the template, so we can't edit it here. And you'll see the default daily schedule, the time range, and it's the only thing you could change here is the frequency. So you could once then suspend, once per day, once every X amount of minutes. So we're going to go ahead and look at custom schedule. And so with custom schedule, you'll be able to select the different days of the week here. If we want to do it on a weekly basis, it just depends on your needs as an organization for this purge process. So if we double click Monday, it'll get rid of Monday, so it won't run on Mondays. If we double click it, it'll run on Mondays now. So just that easy to pick what days you want it to look at. And now we see here this is no longer grayed out, so we can select a time range, so it'll run anytime within this time period. We can also hit a specific time, so I want this to run at 6 a.m. every day, every weekday, and then that would be all I need to do to set that up. You can set it once per day, once every day, starting at 6 a.m., all of that. And then select a day. So if we wanted to, say you have other processes going on certain days of the week, we could set this process to run at a different time. Obviously, you could also select to not run it on that day. But if you still needed it done that day, this will override whatever the default daily schedule is, basically. So for mine, I'm gonna just do a time range, 6 to 5, and I want it to run every 2 minutes. Now that's a lot. We don't necessarily recommend running it that quickly, just depending on how many documents you're trying to purge at once. Typically this might be just like a 1 day of the week, once a month type schedule, just depends what your needs are. So then we want to look at next is purge options. So a few really important settings here. As I mentioned before, if you have a lot of documents and document maintenance, you're not going to want to purge all of those at once. It will lock up your system and it is not recommended. And I'm talking like thousands, hundreds of thousands of documents, even millions. Definitely don't want to purge all of those at once. So this is where this kind of comes into play, where we can set the limit of documents per batch, so it'll only run through the first 1,000 it encounters. We can limit the processing time so that if the process is taking longer than expected, we don't want this running into other processes, kind of causing a cascade effect with our resources on our computer. So we can limit the processing time. If it's whatever's done after 20 minutes is done and it won't run anymore. This third option is more if you have sort of like a stopgap, I guess. If you are deleting documents in OnBase that might have been by accident, you still have a little bit of time to retrieve those documents before the 90 days is up. Obviously, you could set this to different time periods, 180, 30 days, 10 days, whatever it is. Or if you have any sort of requirements that require you to hold on to documents, you could have that set. I don't need this setting for now. And then we can also restrict to document type group. If you have a lot of documents and a lot of different document types that need to be purged on a consistent schedule, we would recommend adding more than one purge process in that case. Or if you just have one specific document type that you need to purge these documents, like they cannot exist in your system after a certain period of time, what have it be, you can select it so that OnBase only deletes these specific documents as far as document type group. So yeah, we can just do any of that. I don't need to restrict mine, so I'm just going to leave that unchecked. And once everything looks good, we want to make sure, double check everything here, and we'll go ahead and hit apply. And now that is our process. All right, so if you're thinking to yourself, well, I set up the schedule, how do I know that it's running? The best way to know, or the simplest way to know whether it's running or not, is going to be looking in system documents and a document type called System Document Purge Report. If we select that, I see my purge report from today when the schedule ran. And you can see that it was successful. We can see the total processing time, the amount of documents, and all their information. This total processing time could be helpful if you're creating a new schedule for the first time, because it will help you gauge, okay, 7 documents took 1 second. I have 700 documents. How long is that going to take? And you can adjust your scheduled process accordingly. To either increase the number of documents you can process within a certain time frame, or extend the time frame, reduce the time frame that this needs to run. All of that is up to you. But yeah, that is an overview of how to create a scheduled process for purging documents.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions that you'd like to see answered in an upcoming Question Corner video, leave us a comment below.